Okay, let's be real. Have you ever had one of those moments where your emotions just completely take over and you feel like you've totally lost it? We're going to dig into what's really going on inside your brain when that happens. And, we're going to ask a pretty big question. Is the story we've all been told about this even right? Ow, you know that feeling, right? That split second where anger or maybe frustration just boils over. And then a second later, the rational part of your brain kind of kicks in and it's just like, whoa, what just happened? It's something we've all been through. And believe it or not, it has a pretty famous name. All right, so let's dive into the classic explanation first. There's this one concept that's gotten super famous for describing that exact feeling, that total emotional takeover. It's called the amygdala hijack. Yeah, you've probably heard of it. The term was actually coined by psychologist Daniel Goleman way back in his 1996 book, Emotional Intelligence. And honestly, it's the perfect phrase, isn't it? It just perfectly captures that feeling of your emotions literally hijacking your brain, making you react in a way that is, well, way out of proportion to what's actually going on. And the key thing here, the thing you really have to get, is the speed. Bellman makes it super clear. This isn't some slow burn. No, it's an almost instantaneous takeover. The second your brain even thinks it sees a threat, and it doesn't matter if it's real or you're just imagining it, bam, the emotional systems can just seize control. So the big question is, how does this hijack supposedly work? Well, the traditional model paints a picture of a race between two completely different information tracks inside your brain. Okay, think of it like this. All the stuff coming in from your senses, what you see, hear, feel, it all lands in one place first, the thalamus. You can call it the brain's mailroom. Now from there, the mail gets sent out on two different routes. You've got the fast track, which is like an urgent all caps telegram shot straight to your amygdala. That's your brain's built-in alarm system. It's not detailed, but man is it fast. At the exact same time, there's the slow track, which sends the full detailed report over to the neocortex, the rational analyst of the brain. And here's the kicker. The amygdala gets that emergency message milliseconds before the rational neocortex gets the full story. So if the amygdala spots a pattern that looks even a little bit like a threat from your past, it doesn't hang around waiting for confirmation. No way. It just slams the alarm button, kicking off that classic fight, flight, or freeze response. It hijacks the whole system before your thinking brain even has a clue what's going on. So this all seems to make a lot of sense, right? And the solution should be simple. Just use that big, powerful thinking brain of yours to override the alarm. Easy. But, well, this is where the story gets really, really interesting. And honestly, a little bit weird. I mean, we're always told to use these cognitive techniques, right? To basically think our way out of an emotional reaction. The whole idea is that our super smart neocortex can just step in and tell the panicking amygdala, hey, chill out, it's just a stressful email, not a saber-toothed tiger. But here's the real question. Does that actually work when we're really under pressure? Well, a really fascinating study decided to put this whole idea to the test. So on day one, they taught people to be afraid of something specific, a classic conditioned fear response. Then they trained them on how to use these cognitive tricks to calm that fear down. Simple enough. But then on day two, they brought everyone back and they put half of them under some serious stress by making them stick their arm in a bucket of ice cold water. Ouch. And get this, the results were just wow. The group that wasn't stressed, they used their training perfectly. Their fear response went way down. But the group that was stressed out from the ice water, their fear response shot right back up to where it was on day one. It was literally as if all that cognitive training just vanished into thin air. And that right there, that's the paradox. The very tool we're supposed to use for emotional control, our executive function, our thinking brain, is one of the first things to go offline when we're under serious stress. So at the exact moment we need our rational brain the most, it's just not there for us. This huge failure kind of suggests there's a major flaw in the whole model, doesn't it? I mean, if emotion and reason were really these two separate armies at war inside our heads, why would one be able to so easily shut the other one down? Modern neuroscience is now telling us that we might need to completely rethink this whole idea of an internal battle. See, the whole amygdala hijack concept is really based on an old, outdated model called the triune brain. You know the one, this idea that we have a primitive reptile brain, an emotional mammal brain, and a rational human brain, all layered on top of each other, constantly fighting it out. But that's just not how the brain actually works or how it evolved. The modern view is what we call the adaptive brain, a single integrated system where everything is interconnected and all the parts are always working together. So here's the main takeaway, the huge shift in thinking. Emotion and cognition aren't enemies locked in some kind of civil war. They're partners. Your feelings and your thoughts are fundamentally woven together, always influencing each other to help you make your way through the world. And believe me, that changes everything. Okay, so if it's not a hijack, then what in the world is actually going on when we lose it under pressure? Well, this new model suggests the answer lies in understanding what the brain's number one job really is. And that number one job, it's managing your body's resources. It's a process called allostasis. Your brain isn't just sitting back and reacting to things. No, it's constantly running predictions, trying to guess what your body's going to need next, energy-wise, and preparing to meet those needs before they even pop up. It's all about keeping things stable by adapting to change before it even happens. You can think of this adaptive system as a master juggler. It's managing your body's energy budget. It's making predictions 24/7 based on everything you've ever experienced. And it's trying to balance what you need on the inside, like food, rest, or safety, with whatever the outside world is throwing at you. And to do all that, it uses both emotion and thinking, not as enemies, but as tools working together. So let's look at that hijack again through this new lens. It's not one rogue part of your brain taking over the whole show. It's a system-wide response. When a ton of stress hits you all at once, it just overloads the brain's predictive system. The situation is just too much for the resources it has available. And when that happens, the entire system defaults to its most basic, most energy-efficient survival plan, a fast defensive action. It's not a bug, it's a feature. And this all connects back to the ultimate purpose of our brain. There's a great quote from the philosopher Jose Ortega y Gasset, who said, "We do not live to think, but on the contrary, we think in order that we may succeed in thriving." See, the brain's number one job is survival. It's thriving. Rational thought is just one tool in its toolbox. And when the pressure is on, it's always going to grab the tool it thinks is best for survival in that split second, even if it's a messy one. So all of this leaves us with a really critical question, doesn't it? If just thinking our way out of it is a strategy that's pretty much guaranteed to fail when we need it most, what does that mean for how we should be trying to manage our emotions? It kind of suggests that maybe, just maybe, managing our overall stress levels and taking care of our nervous system is a whole lot more important than trying to win an internal battle that was never actually being fought in the first place.